The Spanish Grand Prix heralds the return of wheel spin reducing traction control and other driver aids. International stars such as Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones are here to see this milestone race in person. Patrick Kluivert mingles with Michael Schumacher, who takes his fourth pole of the season. He shares the front row with Mika Häkkinen, who discusses his chances with King Juan Carlos. Jacques Villeneuve lines up seventh. Launch Control's first victim is David Coulthard. Third on the grid will shortly become a frustrating last, if he can get going again. With their laptops primed, the technicians have precious little time to sort out the software malfunction. But under the watchful eye of their boss, the Scot gets a second chance. Another crucial test leaves Frenzen's Jordan wanting. Michael Schumacher stays in front of Häkkinen, while Barrichello lets himself down at the start again. Ralf Schumacher blasts past and truly also harries the Brazilian. But Barrichello doesn't let them get away with it. He reclaims third, while it all gets a little too close for comfort in the midfield. Bernoldi breaks his front wing, as does a hasty Coulthard. Bad luck rarely restricts itself to a single hit, and now the Scot requires a trip to the pits. Michael Schumacher leads from Häkkinen and Barrichello as a new nose cone is ready for Coulthard. The Scot faces his second start from last position. Eddie Jordan hasn't seen a lot of positive images on his monitor this season. Frentzen does his best to change that, but putting a wheel on the grass takes both him and new Jaguar signing Pedro de la Rosa out of the picture. A home race to forget for de la Rosa. Michael Schumacher is still in front, but can't relax for a second with Häkkinen so close. The lap times indicate to Patrick Head that Montoya is being held up. The Colombian could get past fifth place Trulli during the first round of stops. It's nearly time for Ralph's first stop, but a locked rear brake puts paid to the German's efforts. The Imola winner quickly comes back down to earth after throwing away fourth place. The first round of stops has been rough on Trulli as he loses another place to Villeneuve's BAR. Montoya and the Canadian are on course for good results, but getting to the checkered flag has been a big problem for them this season. Schumacher is in the pits for his crucial second and final stop, while Häkkinen powers down the start-finish straight to assume the lead. All eyes focus on Häkkinen, and he hardly needs instructions on what to do now. The next few laps will be crucial to the outcome of this race. A potential podium position looks secure for Barrichello until mechanical problems intervene. The diagnosis is a broken rear suspension. Häkkinen's race hangs in the balance. Can he win his first Grand Prix of the season at Schumacher's expense? A longer second stint and some blindingly quick in and out laps has earned Häkkinen the lead. His wife Urja leads the celebrations in the McLaren garage. Schumacher must feel like he's suffering from déjà vu as another McLaren disappears into the distance. Fortunately for the German, it's just Coulthard unlapping himself. However, this slight drop in pace could be the byproduct of bad vibration on his final set of tyres. The way is clear for Mika Häkkinen to get back into championship contention. It's the last lap, and he's got a substantial lead. But in a cruel twist of fate, the former world champion suddenly slows. The Finn's faulty clutch leads to a more spectacular failure. Frustration doesn't even begin to describe how he and his wife are feeling at the moment. The terminally wounded McLaren is finally laid to rest, handing the race win on a silver platter to Michael Schumacher. It's hardly the most well-deserved win he's ever scored, but 10 championship points are always gratefully received.
Even though we fight for two different teams, two different interests, a lot of pressure, we always have gone on very well. And you know, in this moment, you have a lot of feelings for him.
Häkkänen's catastrophe has allowed two other drivers to make history. Second place Juan Pablo Montoya earns his first trip to a Formula One podium, while Jacques Villeneuve gives BAR their first top three finish. The dignitaries quickly evacuate the podium before the champagne shower begins, and Villeneuve shows no sign of ceremonial rustiness despite it being 41 races since he last sprayed the bubbly.
Ron Dennis, the first start of a new era. How do you feel it's going to go for the whole grid?
Well, I don't think it's actually going to go well for the whole grid. So unfortunately, I hope it doesn't, nobody's problems cause a restart. But hopefully we've worked hard enough to eliminate our own problems. But I think it's a better way to go.
I think we ran out of oil. We have an oil leak somewhere. Lots of battles. Do you enjoy it?
No, because the battles were going the wrong way. People were pressurising me. I prefer it the other way around, but
I don't think we could have done a better race for what we had. We just need to make the car quicker.
It's super disappointing. I mean, god damn it, you know, Jesus, you know, could it be fantastic finish for me here, you know. It was going so easy, and I didn't even have to push. I was just more or less cruising, you know, short shifting, braking early, accelerating gently, but it just didn't work out this time for me over here, you know.
The picturesque Styrian region is the home for the A1 ring, the venue for the Austrian Grand Prix. Qualifying was almost a Williams' benefit. Ralf Schumacher put his BMW V10 to good use and heads the second row. He was out-qualified for the first time this season by his teammate Montoya, but both were put in the shade by Michael Schumacher. However, the new driver aids could undo all that hard work. It's a real cause for concern. Four drivers failed to leave the grid, causing chaos behind. At the front, both Williams quickly relegate Michael Schumacher, with Montoya taking charge. Coulthard and Barrichello battle for fourth, as gearbox failure sidelines Frentzen, and launch control is a little too efficient for Heidfeld, Trulli and Hakkinen. At the Remus curve, Barrichello has won the early skirmish for fourth, while the lightly fueled Verstappen takes 8th from Villeneuve. The Canadian's novel line gives 9th place to his teammate, Panis. The safety car's had a busy season so far, and once again it is called out to aid Hakkinen's safe passage to the pit lane. The other three rolling wounded are already there. Trulli is able to get going again. It's touch and go for Heidfeld, but Frentzen isn't so lucky. Montoya leads during this no overtaking period ahead of Ralph and Michael Schumacher, Barrichello and David Coulthard. That could change very quickly as the safety car's lights have gone out. It's time to get back up to speed. Häkkinen does that, albeit a lap down. Verstappen's light fuel load has helped him up to 5th, past Coulthard. That and his overtaking prowess could be more than Barrichello can handle. Irvine has similar trouble with 10th placed Villeneuve, but a trip across the grass deals with the Ulsterman's immediate problem. Ralf Schumacher struggles in 2nd place, and rapidly decreasing brake power means that his race could come to a sudden halt, even if his car can't. Trulli will also have that sinking feeling very shortly. The Italian left the pit lane under a red light and has promptly been disqualified. As Michelin feared, Montoya's tyres experience a significant drop in performance. Are his defences up to the task? Schumacher tries the outside line at the Remus curve, but Montoya won't give up that easily, and both drivers pay for their stubbornness. Barrichello now leads from Verstappen, but the Dutchman needs to pit early due to his two-stop strategy. Can he fight back and give Arrows their first point of the season? Barrichello is pushing just as hard for his 2nd Formula One win. Michael Schumacher's fight back starts at the expense of 4th placed Olivier Panis. The world champion quickly lines up Kimi Räikkönen, who hardly keeps a tight grip on 3rd position. The German's pit board shows that Coulthard is the next target. The Scot is 2nd ahead of the rapidly gaining Michael Schumacher. It looks as if the German's Ferrari is undamaged after his clash with Montoya. The Colombian spectacular race comes to a disappointingly tame end, thanks to hydraulic failure. Barrichello makes his sole stop. The Brazilian drops to 2nd, handing the lead to Coulthard. Now, can the Scot take advantage of a longer first stint and keep the lead? The possibility of points is difficult to resist for 7th placed Villeneuve, who breaks the pit lane speed limit. The best driver aid is an efficient pit crew, and the McLaren team rarely lets its drivers down. Can the boys keep the prancing horse at bay? The pit lane is very long here, but Barrichello has traffic to deal with. The English team has done it again, but now the focus shifts to the Silver Arrow's reliability. The events of Spain are all too fresh in the memory for McLaren personnel. Engine failure continues Button's miserable season so far. Michael Schumacher is giving away valuable championship points. The Ferrari hierarchy won't stand for this.
Rubens, it's last lap. Let Michael pass for the championship. Let Michael pass for the championship, Rubens, please.
Time is running out for the order to be obeyed. Coulthard approaches the line for a well-earned victory, while Barrichello makes his feelings abundantly clear by yielding to Schumacher at the last possible moment. The Scots win helps ease the pain of Häkkinen's Spanish disaster. Räikkönen finishes 4th, and Verstappen nets Arrow's first point of the season. After handing over 2nd place, Barrichello's morale is at rock bottom. Coulthard's outlook couldn't be any more different. His win takes him to within 4 points of the championship lead.
from where I was in the grid, obviously having qualified 7th, it was important to start heavy and just to have the options open depending on how the race went. I was able to lean the engine out early on after the first few laps and save quite a few laps of fuel, and as well as obviously with the safety car, and that enabled us to go quite long.
Schumacher's lead could have been down to just 2 points. Barrichello knows that all too well.
You were running in second place, it looked quite comfortable. Why are you in? Was it brake problems?
Yeah, the brake pedal got longer and longer, so I had nearly no brake pressure left. And then I had to stop, basically, that was all.
Va bene, io non dico niente.
Monte Carlo, the mecca for the rich and famous, provides the affluent backdrop for the Monaco Grand Prix. The motto here is, if you've got it, flaunt it. Naomi Campbell and P. Diddy are amongst the VIPs on hand, and as always, Prince Albert gives the royal seal of approval. David Coulthard qualified on pole ahead of championship leader Michael Schumacher and teammate Mika Häkkinen. The field gets set for the warm-up lap, but it won't be led by Coulthard. In a repeat of the Spanish Grand Prix, his launch control fails at a critical moment. Once again, Michael Schumacher profits from McLaren misfortune. The world champion takes full advantage of Coulthard's relegation to last and leads from Häkkinen and Barrichello. Ralf Schumacher takes fourth from Irvine, opening the door for his teammate. The Scot will have to be patient as there's very little room for manoeuvre at the Grand Hotel hairpin. As always, the Armco is there to punish the hasty, and Heidfeld is just another victim. Schumacher leads from Häkkinen, Barrichello, Ralf Schumacher and Montoya. The former Formula 3000 champion has had an incident-packed first 6 races, and a trip over the curbs here sets him up for more of the same. His bosses love his speed and fighting spirit, but a few more finishes wouldn't go amiss. Barrichello approaches the tunnel as he pursues second-place Häkkinen. There's more than just light at its end. A potential Ferrari 1-2 is on offer thanks to the Finns' handling problems. A dreadful weekend for McLaren, and indescribably frustrating season so far for their former world champion. A total of 4 points is a miserable haul for a driver of his talents. There's no end in sight to McLaren's problems. Coulthard is stuck in 13th, behind Enrique Bernoldi's arrows. Precious few overtaking opportunities and some great defensive driving from the Brazilian will test the Scots' strength of character to the limit. Help for Coulthard's predicament could come from an unexpected source. Can the Scot take advantage as Schumacher comes up to lap him and Bernoldi? He gives the race leader plenty of room, but loses valuable ground to Bernoldi. Ferrari is not likely to shed any tears. Honda Power comes to the fore in the battle for 5th. But Trulli and Villeneuve will soon be joined by Fisichella's Bennett and Renault. However, all thoughts of a 3-way scrap melt away like Trulli's engine. Watching the pit wall monitor has been a stressful experience for Eddie Jordan this season. Eddie Irvine looks set to equal Jaguar's best ever result if he can hold on to 4th place. The Ulsterman's advances further frustrate the progress of Coulthard, who is still stuck behind Bernoldi. Monaco has the habit of turning the formbook on its head. It's unlikely that team principal Bobby Rahal would have predicted one of his cars would be lapping a McLaren. Michael Schumacher is seldom prey for upsets. That's why he's a magnet for other sports stars, like Ronaldo. John Alesi is in 6th. His hold on the last championship point becomes even more secure, following Frenson's misjudgment in the tunnel. Driver-team boss relations will be the biggest casualty of that crash. At the front, Michael Schumacher comes in for his one and only stop. This allows his teammate to assume the lead. Albeit briefly, as the Brazilian has yet to make his stop. Electrical problems look like curtailing Ralf Schumacher's race, putting Irvine on the verge of Jaguar's best ever result. 6th place Coulthard is long free of Bernoldi after their pit stops and could salvage some points. That's beyond Ralf Schumacher, despite the best intentions of his pit crew. His retirement also promotes Villeneuve to 4th. Rubens Barrichello's short tenure at the front is about to come to an end as he pits for more fuel and fresh rubber. The Brazilian leaves the way clear for Michael Schumacher to retake the lead. Alain Prost looks concerned. John Alesi's up to 5th, but a rear puncture puts the prospect of the team's first points of the season under threat. The problem is quickly dealt with. This stop lets Coulthard up to an unthinkable 5th, but the Frenchman is still on course for a valuable championship point. Michael Schumacher's victory has never been in doubt. He can even afford to slow right down to let Barrichello close for the grandstand finish. There'll be plenty of basking in reflective glory for Irvine, who bags Jaguar's first ever podium. Much to the relief of Bobby Rahal. Schumacher celebrates a 5th Monaco victory, while Prost saviour Alesi forgets there's barely enough room to swing a cat at La Rascasse, never mind an F1 car. He finishes 6th, behind Coulthard.
I don't know what is so special. I certainly love that circuit. I have always found it easier to find my setup, which is very important again here, to throw around the corner, the car through the corners. But you have to be lucky to some degree as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic to get a podium, and especially here, you know. To have 2 Ferraris and a Jaguar on the podium in Monaco's really what Formula One's about in a way.
So far, Formula One 2001 is about Schumacher and Ferrari domination. The world champion's 4th victory takes him 12 points clear in the Drivers' Championship, while Barrichello's 2nd place helps give Ferrari a 32-point lead in the race for the Constructors' title.
John and Lazy, you've looked very good all weekend, a good qualifying. Points today?
You know, before the race, it's very hard to express what really I would like to do. Obviously, I had a very hard season so far since the beginning. So here I have the chance to do well, and I will take this chance. I would like to have just 10 Monte Carlo at the championship.
Mika Häkkinen, very bad luck. What happened there?
Well, we don't have exactly 100% understanding yet what's going on, but I just lost the balance of the car completely, and the steering wheel wasn't straight, so I was a bit concerned.
He's still there, it's 15, 16 seconds.
John O'Lacey, a fantastic race from 11th on the grid to finish 6th, Prost first points. How do you feel?
I feel really relaxed now because it has been such a long time without point. Finally, we have the point, even if we were not really lucky. I had to stop to change the tires because I had a puncture at 6 laps to go. Never mind, we have 1 point, is good.
The magnificent St. Lawrence River surrounds the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, the home of the Canadian Grand Prix. Celebrities such as Nicolas Cage, Naomi Campbell and Jim Carrey have all been attracted by top-class motorsport at Montreal. For the second time this season, Michael heads an all-Schumacher front row ahead of David Coulthard. Ricardo Zonta joins the grid in place of the injured Frentzen. The Schumachers start well with Coulthard tucking in behind ahead of Trulli and Barrichello. Hometown hero Villeneuve has a dreadful start as Coulthard settles in for a long race. Barrichello uses his horsepower advantage and a light fuel load to leave Trulli behind as the field approach the slowest corner on the track. With plenty of heavy braking, the discs get a real roasting at this circuit. Villeneuve languishes well outside the top 10, but Fisichella and Bernoldi's collision helps remedy that situation. More stress for Benetton Supremo Briatore, as Button is now side by side with Bernoldi. Fisichella arrives on the scene with disastrous consequences. The Italian team's swan song season goes from bad to worse. The top four are breaking away while the midfield loses yet more members. The latest casualties are Irvine's Jaguar and Heidfeld's Sauber. Barrichello is the man to watch as he effortlessly drops Coulthard to fourth. Ralph isn't having such an easy time with his elder brother, and he will soon have another Ferrari to deal with. Barrichello will put the Williams driver's defensive skills to the test. The Brazilian looks ready to pounce, but is too eager to get the job done. He had switched off his traction control to get rid of a misfire, but the cure has a devastating side effect. Barrichello rejoins in 14th. Jenson Button takes his 10-second stop-go penalty for a jump start, while the pace of the Schumacher brothers is proving too much for third place David Coulthard. It's rapidly turning into a Schumacher lockout. Barrichello's recovery drive is well underway. But Montoya's mistake forces the Brazilian into suicidal evasive action. The remaining Ferrari and Williams lead behind the safety car, ahead of Coulthard, Trulli, Panis, Verstappen and Raikkonen. Montoya and Barrichello begin the post-mortem as the safety car pulls off and the green light goes on. Michael Schumacher looks to have caught the rest napping, but the power of his brother's BMW engine could redress the balance very quickly. The Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve has never been kind to its native son, and a broken drive shaft causes his fifth retirement in 6 Canadian Grand Prix. At the front, the battle for the lead is well and truly on. For the first time this season, Michael is put under intense pressure by his brother. Ralph ponders a move down the inside, but there's no need for heroics now as Michael Schumacher comes in for his only stop. Some qualifying laps are now in order if Ralph wants to keep the lead. The ball is well and truly in his court as his brother gives chase. Panis' pursuit of a podium finish has been curtailed by brake problems. Hakkinen is having one of his more uneventful drives to third place, but he'll be there to pick up the pieces should the leaders fail. There's no sign of any weakness in race leader Ralf Schumacher's performance. He's put in some red-hot laps since his brother pitted, and now it's time for the mechanics to do their bit. Ralph's Michelins perform better in hot temperatures and give the Williams team a chance for their second win of the season. Easier said than done, with a three-time world champion behind you. Coulthard has slipped to fourth behind Häkkinen, but that's hardly important now. Norbert Haug and logistic coordinator Joe Ramirez look on in disgust as the Mercedes cremation finally stops in the pits. The sight of Trulli's Jordan slowing is a depressingly familiar one in 2001. Raikkonen easily takes fourth, and it won't be too long before that pit board is redundant. The Italian is another victim of the circuit's appetite for brakes. That leaves Raikkonen en route to 3 points and allows Alesi to build on his Monaco breakthrough. Jos Verstappen had been on course for his second point of the season, but his brakes can't stand the heat. Ralf Schumacher's Williams has exhibited bulletproof reliability, and the German's pace, particularly around his pit stop, was more than enough to earn him his second victory. His brother won't be too disappointed with second. He now leads the Drivers' Championship by 18 points from Coulthard. The Scots teammate earns his first podium finish of the season, while Schumacher Jr.'s army of disciples continues to grow. There's more elation at Prost as Alesi earns them 2 more valuable championship points. Ralph's win even brings a smile to Frank Williams' face, and a well-justified pat on the back for the team. It's Formula One's first sibling 1-2.
It was a great racing today. The whole time the two of us were together, and I was always waiting for him to do a mistake. Obviously he didn't. So I knew that, I tried it a couple of times at the end of a straight, but I knew that was difficult. So I waited for the pit strategy, which I thought that we were going longer anyway, and it worked out that way.
Ralph experiences that unique champagne down the overalls feeling, while Häkkinen stands on the podium for the first time since Japan 2000.
obviously we're not having a very good weekend. We've had severe brake problems, and obviously both cars seem to be out. What happened with Jack's car, I don't know, but it's just a culmination of bad circumstances. It happens.
I feel very happy, especially because my team really is enjoying these 2 points. I mean, it's great.
The European Grand Prix takes place at Germany's Nürburgring. This is Schumacher country, so it's no surprise to see the stands coated in Ferrari red. However, their heroes sent heart rates rocketing during the installation lap. A fuel pickup problem struck the spare car, which left the pole sitter stranded on the circuit. Help came from an unlikely and less than desired source. Schumacher's rescue resulted in a PR nightmare. Once back at the pits, he was able to take the start in his designated race car. A somewhat calmer sellout crowd focuses on the start, particularly the third all-Schumacher front row of the season. Both get away cleanly, but Ralph may not think his brother's tactics are whiter than white. Montoya claims third, while Coulthard slots into fourth. With the exception of Tarso Marquez, everybody gets through the infamous Castrol S safely. The Schumachers lead, followed by Montoya, Coulthard, Hakkinen and Trulli. Strategy master Ross Brawn looks on as his number one driver comes under increasing pressure from his brother. The Nürburgring's long straights should favour the BMW V10, but the Ferrari is a tremendous all-round package and has been on the pace at nearly every race so far. The Williams mechanics are thinking several laps ahead to the first stops. However, Ralph may not need their help to capture the lead. Gearbox and electrical problems end Grand Prix number 100 for Olivier Panis. Reliability is BAR's Achilles heel.